Spy planes in the air. Your work is appreciated.